I'm walking through the woods and I come upon the classic double wide setup on a pretty big bare area, no grass, just leaf litter and hardwood trees surrounding it. I enter through the sliding glass door on the side porch addition and see it's partially moved into but abandoned. As I go to exit the trailer to continue exploring the woods, I went from halfway through the door to being transported to a slightly overgrown dirt path. After only walking a few feet, I notice there's an abandoned mansion made of stone at the end of this seemingly magically appearing path. There was at that time no trace of the trailer or the plot of land it had occupied. I'm just standing there near the very large French front doors as I dwell on where I am and how I got here. The inside of the windows and doors had dead vines so thick I thought for sure I wasn't going to be able to get in, let alone be safe enough to walk across the floor if I even found a way in. Out of nowhere there's a man standing 7 feet away from me with his arms folded behind his back. He's wearing a lighter brown pantsuit over a white silk shirt and says, "Can I help you, ma'am?" Without a reply he opened the French door on the left-hand side with such ease I wondered if it imagined the vines just seconds before. No sound of vines breaking as it was opened and nothing hanging down that might have broke free upon opening. The entryway looked beautiful aside from the white sheet-covered furniture and a few stray leaves here and there. From the outside I hadn't been able to see in because the vines had blocked most of the sun from getting through, yet I could see just fine being inside with natural sunlight being the only source of light. There was a smaller black and white marble staircase leading to what I'd like to think would be the bedrooms. To the left of the staircase the brown suit man was beckoning me into the already boarded elevator. The inside of this thing was coated with purpley red crushed velvet with golden metal trim. I could see the control panel lit up from where I stood, yet I still didn't trust the structure of the decrepit building and decided to walk past the open elevator door and to the back of the mansion. I looked back to see if the man had decided to follow me instead, but he didn't. The elevator door shut with him inside and it stayed put on the ground level. As I turn my gaze back to my journey I see what looks like a kitchen door and swing it open. As the door is opening to pitch black boom, I'm standing as though I have just opened the slider to the trailer to exit and continue exploring. As I stand there dumbfounded trying to comprehend what just happened, 2 women approach the steps in 1600s clothes. I repeat the greeting in the same manner that the elevator man had greeted me minutes before and hoped for the best. Without pause they come right in and the woman chef, for lack of a better term, headed straight for the kitchen and began taking out basic ingredients and started cooking. I notice the door was left open and as I go to close it I see my one-yo puppy, who has never been off leash, romping around the leaf litter at the edge of the clearing, so I whistle her inside. She comes in right away and lays down in the living area to get some love from my 3 small children. Normally my pup is wary of strangers, especially if the children are present, yet she acted way more calm than usual and didn't take off after smells into the woods. I awaken suddenly to the darkness of my apartment and frantically open my phone to check the time, and to my relief it's 3 a.m., Puppy's asleep in her crate, boyfriend snoring loudly beside me, so I go to the kitchen for a glass of water then head back to bed in hopes I would have less chaotic dreams. Apocalypse dreams. Story number 1, did I predict the pandemic? In this dream I was riding in the car with my boyfriend. We pulled up to a fork in the road where we were facing those really tall power lines in a field. As my boyfriend came to a stop the radio station came in clearly and it said that our area, county is going to be locked down and traffic was going to be gridlocked and that everyone in the vicinity was going to be quarantined. Now starting to see people being ripped out of their vehicles by armed men in white hazmat gear a half-mile or so down the traffic-packed street that we hadn't yet turned onto and loaded into 5-ton military transport vehicles. We exchanged a quick look of terror before jumping out of the now parked car and sprinting to my grandmother's house, which happened to be close by. It's a 3-bedroom trailer on a secluded dirt road surrounded by woods, so we knew we'd be safe to ride out the quarantine without much rioting at our door. We picked the larger of the 2 spare rooms because we wanted our toddler daughter not to be able to get into everything that wasn't childproof. The 2 older boys shared the smaller bedroom at the end of the hall that was missing a door. The guest bath between our rooms made it easier for us to keep our family unit separate from Graham just in case everything we had heard was true. Grant tells us from the living room that is separated from us via the kitchen that she has a gate for the driveway, but it just needs a little fixing to stand on its own. Gears turn in my head as I discuss the possibility of being found or taken by the men in the white hazmat suits. My boyfriend instantly went outside with his identity covered with scarves so as to not be recognized or questioned by neighbors to gather the giant wrought iron gate segments to see what he needed to get them together and upright at the edge of the property abutting the road. He notices there is only one bolt and one nut from the opposite section missing and goes all the way around the trailer to the back door where the laundry room is and sees an old coffee can on top of the dryer that has a few rusty pieces of hardware inside. Perfect? They are the exact size and shape needed for the project. Noticing he might need help, I walk out front to assist in holding the pieces upright while the new hardware is put in. The iron poles that the gate and fence segments would be secured to have always sat in the ground 4.5 feet off the ground. It looked beautifully secure with arch gate doors and small spikes to keep people from easily climbing over the top. As I'm standing there in admiration, a black van going awfully quick pulls into the driveway and stops with a screech of the brakes. A man with a white hazmat suit jumps out of the driver's seat and I take off inside to hide with the kids while my boyfriend takes care of it. I can see the driveway from my hiding spot under the desk that's against the window, and I notice an armed man now jumping out of the side of the van to accompany his partner. When the man with the gun looked in my direction, I let the curtain fall out of my hands and I start whispering, "Don't make any noise and don't move if you want your dad to live," and the kids stared at me with their wide glossy eyes and shut mouths. My older son then moved his arm to part the curtains, but I grabbed his arm and whispered, "No. You can't look. The only way we can come out of hiding is if the van leaves and dad comes inside, or if they take dad we will have to run for it through the woods." The next thing I heard was the van door sliding shut and the driver starting the van and heading back the way they came, but slower than the manner in which they had arrived. Hearing the front door open and shut and only one set of footsteps entering the house, I stand up taking the children's hands in mine to nervously embrace my boyfriend in the kitchen. He was lightly sobbing tears of relief as we held our loved ones tight.